Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So I'm feeling excitement today, but not in a positive way. There's a lot of people that are worried about what happened with Bitcoin and crypto over the last day or so. But I have something to share with you guys. This dip could be the final dip that we see before cycle peak. And that is very, very exciting. So let's talk about what may have caused the dip and what to look forward to afterwards. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, guys. I hope you guys are hanging in there. Super cool, thank you. I finally did get a haircut. But anyways, you know what? Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. Okay, so this, well, before I show you this, I mean, this is Bitcoin right now, okay? About 60,500. This morning, a dip to 58.7, and that's actually a good thing, and I'm going to explain why. And basically, we bounced right off of there. We're above 60,000. And, you know, people are panicking once again. So it went down a little bit lower from yesterday. And, of course, the day before went down a little bit lower from 65, 66 range, right? But what caused this? What caused this? Is this natural? Well, there's evidence that this is. And there's evidence that whatever occurred is actually really positive for Bitcoin. Now, last night I told you guys, great time to buy, right? DCA. That is exactly what you do when we have dips. You buy things low and you sell high, right? So I do believe that this is all lining up. This is all lining up to something terrific. And this could be that final dip or final drop before we get that huge spike and we get that cycle peak. All right, now, first, you know, there's a couple of theories why Bitcoin went down. All right. Number one, President Biden signs the infrastructure bill, which contains a crypto broker reporting requirement, which means that brokers that are transferring over $10,000 have to report KYC. And this broker's term is loosely defined, so you don't know if that includes miners and dApp makers and wallet makers, right? But the good thing is there's still time to define it, and this won't go into effect until 2024. So most likely this is not the reason for the panic, for the sell-off. Although some people have, you know, asked me about this, but we're not really going to see anything from this until 2024. And the language around brokers will be properly defined and could be fought over within the next 3 years. So I don't think this is it, but I just want to bring that up. Also, somehow we know Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of Twitter, is very bullish on Bitcoin and he's about to release a DeFi project on top of Bitcoin after Taproot upgrade. But somehow his counterpart, Twitter's CFO, came out and said that it's too risky to be buying Bitcoin at this point. So supposedly, right after he said this, there was a sell-off in Asia. So could it be that some people, you know, listened to him and said, hey, maybe he's right. Bitcoin is too risky to get into right now, right? And I'm surprised Jack Dorsey didn't have a conversation with him or fire him after this comment. But anyways, maybe that's the reason. I don't think so. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but it's, you know, the timing of it was around there. And there's also more China FUD. How China, once again, is flip-flopping. Just a few weeks ago, China was supposedly asking local, you know, residents what they feel about Bitcoin mining and stuff like that. But now we're getting reports that China is warning that the companies that are still mining in China, they will get wrecked, basically. They will get wrecked. They will be forced out and taxed or whatever, or maybe put in jail. So they are warning once again. So this also came out at the same time. So Could there be remaining miners in China that's really, really fearful and just decide to panic dump everything because they're afraid that they're going to be thrown in jail or what? Maybe this also has something to do with it. I mean, this makes more sense than the last two things because, of course, back in May, this is what happened. Bitcoin took a big dip because almost 50% of the hash rate disappeared overnight because the miner shut off, right? So could there still be a small amount there that decided to do this? Maybe. This is likely. This is likely. So those are three reasons why Bitcoin may have come down, right? But there's a fourth reason. And that is this could be that final dip before Bitcoin makes a cycle top. Because let's go back to this. So what this is a long-term, view of Bitcoin over the last few years, including the last cycle of 2017. Well, I should say ended in 2017, and then going till now, right? So the last 4 years, basically. But in 2017. When you zoom out like this, everything just looks like it's all cheery and it's always upwards forever, right? But when you zoom in, you then realize that's not always the case. While the run was going, and while Bitcoin was going up from $700 something all the way up to 20,000, there's been many periods where Bitcoin is flat, many periods where Bitcoin dipped quite a bit, and you could see right here, November, okay? And this is on a weekly, by the way. So this red candlestick right here actually lasted the whole week. But you could see that this actually came right before the final leg up. So there was a dip in November in 2017, right before the huge run up from 6,000 to 20,000. So think about that. Maybe that is the reason that the whales are basically trying to drive as many people out as they can and getting ready and loading up right now before the final leg up. So you can see this period, there was downward movement. This period was downward movement. And then you have this 1 week right in the middle of November where Bitcoin fell from 8,000 down to about 5,000-ish before going from 5,000-ish to 20,000. So imagine that. And I lived through this. Imagine that during the 2017 run, right? People were comparing to 2013 run. And then imagine things are looking good. We go from 3,000 all the way up to 8,000, and all of a sudden, it drops 40% down to 5,000, right? Think about that's the biggest shakeout that Bitcoin ever experienced at that point, right? Like everyone is thinking, okay, we're going to go to 10,000 and beyond, and all of a sudden you have a 40% dip. Think about how many people sold and said, I'm done. Bitcoin is not going to go any higher, and we are done, and we're going to go lower, right? And then immediately after that, Bitcoin went up, how much? 263% right afterwards. So think about that. This could be exactly the same situation. That final dip, that final shakeout before Bitcoin goes up 263%. So that's the thing. That's the fourth reason. And I think that is actually the real reason that what we're seeing now, right? But the thing is, and just to put things into perspective, by the way, I drew these arrows back in January of 20. I don't know if I drew this in January 2020 or I think I drew this in January of 2020. Yeah, so it's almost been 2 years. And that was right before Bitcoin dipped down to 3,800. So at that point, I was like, I was looking really like a real fool at that time. But you know what? When you zoom out and then you have patience, you realize, well, Bitcoin will continue on. It won't stay low forever, right? So even after it dipped that, you could see we came right back up. 2021 was really how things just exploded. And we even went beyond my casual projection. And now we're a little bit below. But here's the thing. Look at where we are now versus where the year end will be, right? This gap right here is not unreasonable, especially if you look at 2017 right here. How much Bitcoin went up? About that 200 something percent. If you just take that, if I just take this right here and just project it here, and then go up 200 something percent, where does that put Bitcoin, right? Very close to that arrow. And that puts Bitcoin very close to the 250 to 260,000 range, right? And that's exactly where Stock to Flow X is actually predicting Bitcoin will be too, around 288,000, right? So if you're looking at that, I mean, man, that's looking very, very similar, right? Very similar indeed. I'm gonna get rid of this. So that could be a final drop. But you know, when you look at it this way, though, the drop that we have right now is so tame it doesn't even really register. So that's the thing. But this is this BLX chart is a little bit delayed, which is why it's showing Bitcoin at 63,000 and not 60,000. But if this was a little bit lower, I mean, you could see it'll be a little bit bigger red candlestick, but it won't be like that 40% drop that we experienced in 2017. But anyways, you know what? I think the stars are aligning. Even though right now and 2017 is very different, you know, the patterns and so forth just can't be ignored. There's so many similarities, and you know what? This could be a very, very positive thing before Bitcoin goes up and makes its peak in the near future, which is coming in a month and a half, maybe. You know, what else is there? You know, there's other things. There's other people that have correlated this. For example, this person right here, Coins Kid, falling back to the support trend line. RSI creating a huge hidden bullish divergence. Can we test 58.5, which we pretty much did? It would be golden, just like that November 2017 period. Yep. So I'm not the only one noticing that. Also, Matt Chung, he's another TA guy, saying the 20K all-time high break versus what we just experienced. You could see that this pattern right here, right? This pattern right here versus this 2017, 2021. You could see that the pattern is very, very similar, right? So again, things are looking like they're lining up. Tech Dev also, just from a TA perspective, looking at the recent reset of RSI, basically we have reset ourselves down to the same point when Bitcoin was at 42,000, 43,000, and we are at 61,000, right? So obviously, if the RSI reset to that same level, we have a lot more room to grow, again, lining up with the final push of this year, right? So this is, I mean, it's all lining up. It's all lining up. And also what helps with this drop is that the long leverage traders also got shaken out, right? Almost 1 billion liquidations happened last 24 hours, right? So it cleared up that as well. So this is why this is very similar. It's reminding me of 2017, this final shakeout, this final push upwards. And what happened beforehand is you had this one horrible week, maybe whale driven, I think so. Basically, they try to remove as many people out as they can. They bought as much as they can before Bitcoin went up close to 300% afterwards, right? And that is exactly what is feeling like right now. So that's pretty much it. And of course, there are some whales that agree with me. Third biggest whale address for Bitcoin, added another 207,000 Bitcoin at 62K. So obviously some of these large whales, they're like, yeah, I don't care what happens day to day. I know what is going to happen in the future. So I'm loading up. And even Pomp says all-time high of Bitcoin addresses with balances at least 0.01 Bitcoin or more, which means that not only whales are adding, retail investors like you and I, we're taking advantage of the dip. We're DCAing, we're buying, and we're holding, because we don't believe in any of this whale game nonsense, okay? We've lived through enough of it. It's not time to be fearful. It's time to be greedy. And that is why. That is why. All right, that's pretty much it. Overall, you know, again, like I said yesterday, if you're panicking and you think, you know, someone actually sent me something saying, I don't know what chart or whatever, you know, fifth wave or whatever that people look at. He was like, oh, get ready, Bitcoin's about to drop to 40,000. And I just deleted that email because I just don't believe that. For people that are trying to spread fear or panic, right? I just don't get it. Bitcoin is still at 60,000, 61,000. We didn't drop back down to 50,000. We didn't drop back down to 40,000. We didn't drop back down to 30,000, right? This seems like a perfectly natural consolidation period where Bitcoin is both basically going sideways, and it's looking very, very, very much like 2017, where Bitcoin is ready for that final push up. And just look at it this way too. And 4 hour right now, right? You look at the RSI. The RSI is dirt low at about 28 right now. Okay, right here, about 28. When was the last time Bitcoin was at 28? It was over here, right around this period when Bitcoin was at 40,000, right before it went up 50%, right? So, I mean, I think it's time to be greedy. That's what I'm thinking. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. All right, scrolling up, Emmanuel says, I panic sold. I'm sorry to hear that. Panic selling never leads to good things. Usually it just leads to losses. Usually it leads to you buying back at a higher price. So, you know what? Again, don't pay attention. I know it's almost impossible. But when it comes to crypto, when it comes to Bitcoin especially, those who make the most money are those that have the most patience and those that can hold the longest, right? And if you're trying to time top or bottom and you're trying to day trade and outsmart the market, you're just not going to be very successful. I bought the dip, DCA, buy fear, sell the greed, simple or hold for future goals. I think I understand that. SVT running. It ain't about being scared, just be prepared. Wealth is built in the bear market. That is correct. It's also built in corrections. That's why I've been advising you guys over the last month or so, maybe even longer. Yeah, I've been saying, hey, you know what? As we get higher, start building cash positions, start having cash on the side so that you could take advantage. That's really it. You know, as we get higher and higher and higher, you know, as we will break 70,000, we will break 80, 90, 100. You know, as we get higher, I think it'll be important to start setting a schedule and taking profits out. That way, if we do hit that peak, wherever it may be, $150,000, $200,000, right? We had that peak and we come back down. Well, you'll have cash. You locked in profits. You'll have cash to buy in the dip, and then you're able to buy low, right? So I think that is going to be important, but I just don't feel like the time is now. I think the time is after we start breaking some highs, like some true highs, 70, 80, 90, 100. There's a lot. Oh, I didn't even look at alts. Yeah, so if you look at alts right now, the thing is, yeah, you see a lot of red, right? But the important thing to look at, overall broad view, is Bitcoin dominance. whenever there's true panic, and trust me, I've seen so many periods where there's true panic. Whenever there's true panic, Bitcoin dominance skyrockets. Okay, and there's been times during crypto winter where if we see a correction like this, Bitcoin down 5%, you'll see like ETH and Cardano and XRP down like 15 or 20%, and you see Bitcoin dominance rise up and spike. The fact is, right now we're not seeing panic. We're not seeing true panic. There may be some people that's acting like they're panicking, and maybe they are panicking, but most people aren't. Because when there's true panic, you know what happens? Everyone sells off, and most people will just start selling everything, and usually what that leads to is massive sell-off for altcoins. And there will be sell-off for Bitcoin, but you'll see Bitcoin, of course, most people gravitating towards it, knowing that it is the biggest, knowing that it's a store of value, right? And you'll see that Bitcoin dominance will skyrocket. And during certain periods where Bitcoin dominance will go up like 4% in a day or 5% in a day, right? But the fact that everything else is selling off around the same as Bitcoin shows that, yeah, there are some people that's panicking. Maybe there is some profit taking at this point, maybe forced profit taking, but overall people are not panicking. So I think this is a good indicator. Whenever you see Bitcoin spike up like this right here, like, sometimes you could see like this spike like that, that's usually a sign of panic. But right now we're not seeing that. What else is there? Jeff, good quote. The world is full of foolish gamblers, and they will not do as well as patient investors. That sums it up really well. I don't know who said it, but it sounds good. I mean, investing is just a game of patience. People who make money are basically the ones that are more patient than the ones that are not making money. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Even with crypto. Even as fast as crypto moves, and even though there's meme coins that can make people millionaires within weeks, still, it comes down to patience. Bob says, I'm in it for technology. Well, that's great. That's great if that is true. All right. What else is there? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Why does LTC rally often at local Bitcoin tops? Can you check for any reasons? The reason is money flows out from Bitcoin and they go into altcoins. That's really it. So in 2017, the same thing. When Bitcoin topped out, guess what happened in altcoins? They all shot up tremendously. We could see the same thing happen. It's most likely because people are like, okay, we want to put our money somewhere else that can grow faster, right? And, that's the reason why. But long term, you don't want to hold Litecoin over Bitcoin, that's for sure. Am I too late to get in Meta? If not, what is the best way to get in? Are you talking about actually buying land and NFT stuff? They're expensive. So I would say the best way to get in is to buy the tokens like Mana or Sand, 1K to drop today, Dot, Luna, Phantom, or Mover. I'm not familiar with Mover, but I like the other ones that you pointed out. Opulus, yeah, they're a Cardano play. Until Cardano has their smart contracts done, no point in looking at it right now. We need to see a DEX that's using the smart contracts. We need to see smart contracts actually being used. Then some of these projects will probably do good. Is MicroStrategy stock a good buy? I don't know. Wall Street likes to suppress MicroStrategy. For me, I think something like Coinbase is better. I think Coinbase is enormous. They have all the money now to do whatever they want, and they're building on so many things. And they're the number one app people go to when they want to get into crypto. And their new NFT marketplace that's about to come out, I think that's going to be a big thing for them too. Velocity is fine. They just need to get more traction. That's it. What is Adam waiting for? Adam needs to have some NFT plays. You know, they have a few dexes, which is fine, but they need to have more dexes and more yield farms. But also, what I'm noticing is they have no NFT marketplace. At least none that's very popular I know of. Maybe there's a few, but all these other projects, they're kind of being driven by NFTs. A lot of the pops, they come when there's like a big NFT drop or something like that. And that doesn't seem to exist on Atom, so. Ricardo says Avalanche be like, what dip? Avalanche is doing very well. They're holding very, very well. This is why I've been bullish on Avalanche for the last few months, right? They seem to have the momentum. They're making strides in a lot of things, and I do think they're going to be in top 10. So today they hardly went down, so it's good for Avalanche. Jalen, I can't answer that. I can't answer that. You have to decide what you like best to DCA into. What should I buy now? Jorge asks. Well, I just went through a list. Last night, a lot of you guys watched it. I went through a top 200. I sorted by the biggest losers, I guess, for last week. The most oversold altcoins. And I went through the ones that I thought had the most promise. So check it out if you need ideas. What do you think about Bosan? They're releasing a roadmap. I don't think releasing a roadmap is newsworthy. But I think they're an NFT creation. I'm not too familiar with them, but yeah. What are your thoughts on using Solana as a hedge against Ethereum in case E2 goes south? What percent? That doesn't make any sense. E2 could be delayed, but it will be done. But as you can see right now, Ethereum is still by far the leader, right? So if you think, well, let me take that back. Having both would be great because I do think Solana still has plenty of room to grow and their ecosystem is still going. So can they go up? Can they catch up more to Ethereum over time? Yes, right? But, I think it's best to just hold both. You don't have to pick one or the other, right? And that way you're protected in both ways. Ultra, they're in decentralized gaming. I think they're okay, but just not doing that well right now. We need to see more games come aboard. Mordov, I don't really know. I can't tell you that. Any Vegas meetup planned? No. I thought about just doing local meetups and stuff, but I've been holding off. I mean, this whole thing with pandemic and stuff is still like iffy and weird. So I'm just going to try to plan like GeorgeCon for next year. All right. Can you look at Sidle? I think Web3 is the big narrative. The thing is, everything is Web3. Sidle is just another promising layer 1. I've looked at it briefly. But I mean, everything in everything, Web3 is just a loose definition of decentralization. And everything in crypto is basically decentralized, right? So even Bitcoin could be thought of as Web3. So Web3 is going to be huge. Yes, we have decentralized finance and storage and compute and ledgers and wallets and payments. Yes, but it's a generic term. It doesn't really mean anything. I'm thinking about small loan. No, don't do it. Don't take any loans. Don't ever take loans, Johnny. I know you may be trying to catch up or whatever. You want to take advantage, don't do loans. If you take loans, that means you're investing with money that you don't have. You're investing more than what you could afford to lose. And it never works out that way. Just don't do it. Go get a side hustle. Go get a job. You know, I've been hiring people left and right for CryptosRUs.com, right? Go get a side job. Go get a side hustle. Make some extra cash. Or take profits when we come back up again. But I don't advise anyone to take loans. Because it never ends well. End of year prediction for Solana. I still think it could hit 1,000. I think this doesn't really change anything. I think we could go right back up. If this is the final dip, like I said, if this is the final dip, we could go right back up to 66, 68 in no time. Could happen end of this week. Could happen next week, right? And when things move, they move really, really quickly. So whatever we're seeing now, it really is meaningless in long term. Yeah, Forever Young says, I despise myself for having to take out an 8K loan with a ton of interest. That's the thing. When you take a loan, you put pressure on yourself because there is interest. There's a payback period. If you could get margin called, right? There's just like unnecessary risks. And crypto is volatile enough. It's risky enough. You don't want to add on top of that with a loan, right? So that's why I don't advise people to take loans. Uh-oh. How do I get rid of this? Mining rig, too late to get in? I don't think mining rig's too late to get in. Hey, if you're a Bitcoin miner, you're making money hands over fist. Same thing with Ethereum miners. They are very, very hot. And there's other kind of miners, like Helium. Helium miners are doing very well. Even Cadena miners are doing very well. You could do dual mining with Cadena. And Helium is also doing very well. There's a lot of mining or just staking. You could stake. Wow, SafeMoon is up. Okay, SafeMoon. WaxP is up. WaxP, I've been sharing a lot of news about WaxP recently. There's a ton of play to earn games on WaxP. This could be their moment. There could be a moment because they've always been really under a radar. I don't talk much about them because they haven't gotten any traction until recently because play to earn games and NFT marketplaces are blowing up, and WaxP got 3 of the biggest toy makers to sign up recently. So this could be a turning point for WaxP. Yeah. Where is Helium? Yeah, Helium's all the way up here now. Man, they're at number 40. So they've also been very, very hot recently. Johnny, just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. Full moon is this Thursday and Friday. It's weird, but it always goes up near. Yeah, someone actually made a chart about the moon cycle, and every time there's a full moon, Bitcoin spikes up, right? So it could be the start, like I said. I don't like Ravencoin, man, because anything that you create, like your own music and NFTs, are considered securities, and SEC doesn't like that. Have you seen Elrond's new DEX? Yes, it's amazing. Goes live Friday. Launchpad, I've heard of it. And you know what? That's why they've been doing pretty well recently. You take a look. Today, they're barely down and up 30% in a month, right? So, pretty good for Elrond. BTFD, that's it. We're all George. That is right, Desert. That is right. All right, Dustin, appreciate that. G.I. Joe, appreciate it. Did you ever have a chat with the FEG team? No, sorry, I did not. Do you think there will be a slight correction a bit after 100,000? Yes, 100,000 will be a big psychological level to break. And many have already called, we're not going to go above 100,000, which I don't think that's the case. We may have a correction. We may have a big 20, 30% correction at 100,000. We may fall from 100,000 back down to 70,000 or back to 60,000, right? But doesn't mean that we won't continue. I think we're going to push higher than that, but, we'll see. There could be a lengthening cycle. Maybe the cycle doesn't end in December. Maybe it goes until January and February. In 2017, altcoins still ran up for 2 weeks into 2018. January like 1 to January 14, 15, altcoins are still pumping. So we could see a lengthening where this year we kind of hit top and we push a little bit in 2022, then we keep going. We could see something like that happen. I can't give you any Litecoin predictions. My liquidation price is 53K. Why are you writing it like that? Should I set my losses and re-enter lower? No, don't panic sell. And you know, I told you guys not to play with leverage, right? So I don't know what to do. I don't know what you should do. You're down 24K. If it goes down to 53K, you get liquidated. Can it happen? Sure. I don't think it's likely, but can it just, like, you know, wick down to 53 and make you liquidated? It happens all the time. This is why we had $1 billion of liquidations happen, right? This is why I tell you, don't play with leverage. Don't play with leverage. So you have to decide what to do, man. KO. All right, last few questions. Sorry, never heard of this project before. NFT project. Build the future of digital and virtual worlds. Powered by Avalanche. Oh, this is their new NFT marketplace. Yeah, I just covered this recently. Well, that's cool. That's cool. This is one of the reasons why Avalanche is doing so well. Because they're just like killing it with so many things, including this new one. This could be good. But NFT marketplaces themselves generally don't do very well. But, you know, I guess we'll see. All right, last few questions. How's the portfolio holding up during this dip? It's pretty good. Let me log in real quick. I mean, it barely moved. 110% performance, down from like 130%, so barely moved. I'll DCA tomorrow into this. Thoughts on IOTA now. Offer staking, EVM, smart contract, Tangled. Yes, more promising. I'll be covering them more in the future. But yeah, they are all moving. Basically, they're trying to become less of just a payment network and more of a smart contracts play, which is very good. All right, Dr. Crypto, appreciate it. How much money do I have? More than I'll ever be able to use. Let's just put it that way. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Stay strong, my friends. All right? Take care. Bye-bye.